Hare Krishna Mataji, are you able to see the screen, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. I can see the screen and Mataji also. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. So, before we start the class, let us take the blessings of the beautiful deities of Sri Sri Radha Govinda Ji. Sri Sri Radha Govinda Ji ki Jai. Okay, so actually it starts in Bhagavad Gita. We generally have the Bhagavad Gita, we have 18 chapters, and the 18 chapters are divided into three parts. The first part, it deals with the Karma Yoga, second is Bhakti Yoga itself, and third is like Jnana Yoga. So, first six chapters, it covers Bhakti through Karma, right? And second part is like from 7 to 12, it covers bhakti yoga itself, devotional service itself. And from 13 onwards to 18, it covers bhakti through gnana. So from today we are starting chapter 30. So that's why we'll be talking more about gnana. See, only if we have knowledge, that knowledge needs us to do devotional service. So, for bhakti, for us to progress in devotional service, we need that knowledge, what we have to do. So, there has to be some knowledge, some jnana. Otherwise, we don't know what to do. So, that is being told in from chapter 13 to 18. So, when you know that knowledge, you know how to practice bhakti. Okay, so that will be covered from chapter 13 onwards. If bhakti is the culmination, why is Gnana presented in the last six chapters? In truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is bhakti. The first six chapters discuss how to achieve bhakti through work. The last six describe how to achieve it through knowledge, and the middle six discuss bhakti itself. Also, in the 12th chapter, Krishna explained how he personally delivers his devotees from birth and death. So, we saw right in the 12th chapter, it was pure devotional service, how he takes care of his devotees by delivering them from birth and death. So, the last six chapters provides the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from the material world. So, Gnana has its use in assisting our detachment from Maya and our attachment to Krishna. So, because of this knowledge, we get detached from Maya and then we get attached to Krishna. Otherwise, if you don't have this jnana, we think we are the body itself, right? But we are actually not the body, we are the soul. So, all this knowledge will be given by Krishna in chapter 13. So, hence, when we use this knowledge as a means to attain devotion, it becomes a part of bhakti. So, let's see. So first Arjuna, he asked six questions. Okay. I think shlokas are not given 1 and 2, I think. Hare Krishna Mataji, are you able to see the screen, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Can you please read the shlokas 1 and 2, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Shloka 13.1. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnamev cha edat vedidum ichhami jnanam jneyam cha keshava. Sri Bhagavan uvacha idam shariram kaunteya kshetram itya abhidhiyate.
Sorry, Mataji, it's better for you to split, Mataji. Your iti abhidhiyate, right? Or sorry, Mataji, I'll just iti abhidhiyate or ityabhidhiyate. You are saying it as itya and again you are saying abhidhiyate. So it's not like that. It's ityabhidhiyate or iti abhidhiyate.
Okay. Kshetramiti abhidhiyate. Okay, madam.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Shariram Kaundeya Kshetramiti Abhidhiyate Yedado Veti Tam Prahuhu Kshetrajna Idi Tadvidaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please read the translation, Mataji.
Translation. Sloka 13.1 and 13.2. Hare Krishna. Arjuna said, "Oh, my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer and the field and the knower of the field and of knowledge and the subject of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So now we'll go back to the. Yeah. So actually, Arjuna, he asked 6 questions. So he asked, what is Prakriti? What is Purusha? What is Kshetra? Kshetragna? Gnanam? Gneyam. Right? He asks these till Shloka 4. He asks all these questions in 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So what is Prakriti? Prakriti is material nature. Purusha means enjoyer, one who enjoys Prakriti, enjoyer of Prakriti. So Kshetra means body. So we have to be familiar with these Sanskrit terms so that because Krishna will be referring to them as Kshetra, Kshetragna, Gnanam, Gneyam, all those. Right? So Kshetra here means body. And Kshetragna means the knower, one who knows the body. Kshetragna means that is the soul and the super soul, right? Who is present in the body, who is present in the kshetra. And gnanam, what is that knowledge that you need to know? So understanding kshetra and kshetragna. Kshetra means body, kshetragna means the knower of the body. Who is that? Soul and super soul. So that knowledge we need to know. Gneyam, and what is the goal or object of knowledge? To know about super soul or Paramatma. That is the goal of knowledge. So it's like this. See, the difference between soul and super soul, they are trying to say in this picture, analogy they're trying to give. See, like a farmer, he knows everything about his land, right? He does not know anything about the neighbor's land. He knows everything about his land. But the king, he knows the farmer's land. He knows about the neighbors. His everybody's land he knows, right? The king, he knows about everybody's land in his country, right? So like that, the king is like the super soul. He knows about all the souls, but the soul, he knows only about himself, right? Like how the farmer, he knows only about his farm, but the king, he knows about all the lands that are present in his country, in his kingdom. So like that, super soul, he knows about the all the souls, but the individual soul, he knows only about himself. So just to show that analogy, this picture is being said. So here they are talking about kshetra. Kshetra means body. Body. Who gets body as the field of activity? So it's the conditioned soul, right? The conditioned soul, he actually rebelled against Krishna, saying that I also want to be the enjoyer like you. So that's why that the spirit soul, Krishna says, no, in Goloka Vrindavan, I am the enjoyer. You can't be the enjoyer. So I will create a separate place for you where you can enjoy. Okay. So that's why this soul, it takes a body, right? Depending on how much he wants to do sense gratification, he gets a body. So that's why when he comes into this material world, he becomes a conditioned soul. He is no longer a spirit soul. He becomes a condition because he's under the grip of Maya now, right? So who gets body as field of activity? That's why the conditioned soul gets this body. So where does he get this field? And why? So soul is entrapped. See, the soul is entrapped in material existence because of his attempts to lord it over. Because he wanted to lord it over material nature. He wanted to enjoy, be the enjoyer, right? He wanted to enjoy. So he came into this material world and he says that I am the master, I am the enjoyer. Okay, that's why he gets this body. Otherwise, if he didn't want to enjoy, only serve Krishna, he would be in the spiritual world, but he wanted to enjoy. That's why he is placed in this material world. In that particular, that soul takes a particular body. And what is the criteria? Criteria to decide which body. According to the, see, how does he get what body? Like there are many bodies, like there are 84 lakh species of bodies. So which body does he get? That what is the criteria for that? According to the capacity to dominate material energy, how much he wants to enjoy sense gratification, he wants to dominate material nature, that kind of body he will get. So according to the capacity to enjoy sense gratification, one gets a particular body to enjoy in this material nature. See, if he wants to eat always, then the material nature gives the body of a pig. If he is already always interested in, for example, money, maybe he'll be born as a scorpion, where lots of grain sacks are there, and then he'll be born there, for example, like that. Okay, so depending on how much sense gratification he has, he gets that particular body. The soul takes a particular body. Next, this is kshetra, about the body, right? Next, Kshetragna. Kshetragna means one who knows the Kshetra, the knower of the field. Means Kshetragna means soul, right? How to understand the difference between the body and the knower of the body. Knower of the body means his soul. So based on changing phases of the body and intuitive understanding. So the body, what is the difference between body and soul? Body, because it's there in the material world, it will undergo changes, but the soul, it doesn't undergo changes. Okay, and further differences we'll see in the later shlokas. See, knowledge in 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita discusses the knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. And from chapter 7 to 12, what happens? Discusses the, already we saw, right, in chapter 1 to 6, we discussed Krishna. In chapter 2, he discusses about soul, super soul, everything, right? To tell Arjuna, because Arjuna was very compassionate to the bodies of the relatives. So that's why in second chapter he tells about soul and super soul there already. Okay. So in chapter 7 to 12, it discusses the supreme personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regard to devotional service. We saw in 7 to 12 is Bhakti Yoga, how the soul, the nature of the soul is to serve the Lord. Jivera Swarupahoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Right? So we saw in devotional service that point of view, we saw how. And it describes the superior position of Krishna and subordinate position of the living entity. Right? And the 4 kinds of pious men are there who appear. We saw 4 kinds of pious people take up to Krishna consciousness. And in chapter 13 to 18, it explains here how the living entity comes in contact with material nature. That knowledge is given here in chapters 13 to 18. How that soul, it comes in contact with material nature. Why, first of all, it had to come here. And explains how living entity is delivered by the Lord through different methods. And how that soul again can be delivered from this material world. The methods will be explained. Okay. So now, Mataji, can you please read Shloka 3 and translation, please?
Yes, Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Shloka 13.3 Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattach jnanam madam mama. Hare Krishna. Translation. Sloka 13.3 O Sion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. This is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here in 3, Krishna is telling about the knower. So there are 2 knowers, right? Knowers of this body. Also, we'll try to discuss here itself. Okay. So Lord Krishna defines Kshetragna and Gnanam. So in answer to the 4th question, he's saying there is also a second knower of all fields. That is the super soul. So Kshetra means body. Kshetragna means what? Here we can see here. Kshetragna means what? In the pink circle we see Kshetragna, 2 kinds of knowers are there. One is super soul and one is the individual soul. So the who knows the body, who are the knowers of the Kshetra? That is super soul and individual soul. So they are present inside the body of inside the body, the super soul and individual soul. Okay, and answer to the 5th question is to understand body and its knowers. What is knowledge? So what is 5th question? They're asking what is gnanam? What is the knowledge that we should know? So we should know about the body, the super soul and the soul. That is gnanam. Okay, so here knowledge means what? To study the subject matter of the field of activity and the knower of the field. That is Kshetra and Kshetragna. Kshetra means body. Kshetragna means 2 kinds of knowers. The knowers of the body, the super soul and individual soul. And how Krishna is the knower? The super soul is the plenary expansion of Krishna. That's why he knows everything. See, from Krishna, he expands as the super soul, Paramatma. So Krishna says, I am also the knower, but not the individual knower of the body. He's present in everybody as a super knower. So Krishna is present as super soul in all the living entities. But the individual soul is only present in his particular body. But Krishna is present in as super soul in all the bodies, right? So here we can see the difference between the soul and the super soul. Okay, the soul, living entities are known as Jivatma, and God as the mentor is known as Paramatma, right? So Jivatma is the soul, Paramatma is the super soul, right? So he is infinitesimally small. Size of the soul is 1/10,000 the size of the tip of the hair. So he's so small, even with the material microscope or whatever, we cannot see it with our naked eye. But super soul is all pervading. He's infinite, right? He's Vibhu. We are Anu, we are very small. He is a Vibhu, right? And next, cognizant of one's body. So the soul, he knows about his own body, right? He's cognizant of one's own body. He knows about his own body. But super soul, he knows the bodies of he knows everybody's body because he's there in all the living entities, right? The soul is secondary proprietor for one body. Okay, analogy, citizen as the proprietor of one land. We saw the analogy right earlier. So soul is like he knows he's the second. See, for example, if you're staying in a rented house, temporarily that house is yours because you're paying rent and you're staying. But actually, who's the main owner of that house? The one who bought that house and he gave rented it to you. So here the comparison is like the main person is the person who bought the house and gave it to you as rent. He is the super soul. He knows everything about the house, right? but temporarily we are in the body, we are taking rent, right? So we are the secondary proprietor, right? Because we are paying rent for the time being, we are staying there. So we are the secondary proprietor. Like that, for the body, the soul is the secondary proprietor, right? Like, and super soul is the main proprietor. He is the supreme proprietor of the body, right? So we saw that analogy. So soul is the secondary controller of senses, right? So we should not think that we are controlling our senses. So we are secondary controller. Who controls the main our senses? Krishna is called as what? Rishikesha. He is the controller of all the senses, right? Like that. Next, he's fallible. The soul, when he comes to this material world, he has a tendency to fall down, right? Because he's in Maya illusion, he has that tendency, he falls down. Fallible means he falls down, and that's why he takes many janmas, right? But super soul is infallible, he does not fall down. He, though he comes through the in the material world through his energies, he's never untouched. He's transcendental. Though Krishna, even even in Dwapara Yuga, he comes to this material world, he's transcendental. He's untouched by this material world. Okay? And the soul is a loving servitor. He serves Krishna. What is the Swarupa of the soul? Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishna Nityadas. So he is the loving servitor. He serves Krishna. And Krishna is the eternally the loving master. He's like a master for us. And souls, there are many innumerable living entities. But the super soul is only one, right? Though he may be appearing in so many living entities, it is the same super soul that is present in every soul. We should not think that the super soul, because he's present in so many living entities, he's divided. No, it is the full super soul that is present in all the, that is only one super soul. He is present in all of the souls. Okay, that we have to understand. So, Mataji, can you please read the 4 shloka and translation, please?
Yes, Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Shloka 13.4. Hare Krishna. Tat kshetram yat cha yadrucha yadvikari tadascha yad sa cha yo yad prabhavascha tad samasena me shunu.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Translation, Shloka 13.4. Hare Krishna. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so now Krishna is telling, I will give you a brief detail of what the body is. Body means kshetra, kshetragna, about the soul, super soul. I'll give that knowledge also, gnana, about body, soul, super soul, and he's saying who is the object of knowledge, right? Gnayam. So he's saying in the further shlokas, Krishna will explain about everything. Okay, so from here it starts. Yeah. Can you please read the shloka and translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Shloka 13.4. Vishidhi
It's
Bhutha.
13.5. We read 4, it is 13.5.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Shloka 13.5. Rishifir Bhuta Geetam Chandofir Vividhaiha Prathak.
Vividaihi, Mataji, sorry, it's Vividaihi.
Vividhaihi Prathak Brahma Sutra Padash Chaiva
Padaish Chaiva. Padaish Chaiva.
Chaiva Brahma Sutra Padaish Chaiva Hedumadhir Vinishchidaihi.
Very good.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
Translation.
You are able to see, Mataji?
Mataji, will you please increase the phone? Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, please.
Continue. I have to read continuously and then right side, na? Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. Bhagavad Gita 13:5. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, here they are, this knowledge, Krishna is saying this knowledge about the body, that is the field, and the knower of the body, the soul, it is not imagination. That's what they're trying to say in the shloka. So many people, they don't believe about this concept of soul. So they think it's just imagination because we can't see. But it is clearly explained by great sages, the Vedas, Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. So the Vedas explain that there are two knowers, the living soul and who knows about his own body, and the Paramatma who knows all bodies. The soul is affected by nature and karma. We discussed, right, in the previous differences. So there is a chance that they fall down, and that's why they take many janmas. That is why the soul is affected by nature and karma. But the Supreme Lord is always pure and he's beyond the material modes. He's always transcendental, right? And the Vedanta shows step by step that real perfection comes when the living soul stops trying to enjoy separately. Now he thinks that why has he come to this material world? He thinks he's the enjoyer. So that's why he's enjoying by himself separately. But when he connects with the Supreme Lord, who is full of bliss, Anandamaya, that is the real connection that is needed so that you want to get liberated from this material world. So, Krishna is the supreme knower. We are subordinate knowers. And when we align with him, our life becomes perfect. Okay, so here the Vedas, they explain a living being experiences life in 5 layers called Panchakosha. So these are called the 5 Panchakoshas, right? So that's how a living being, he lives. So basically, we can see, right, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Gnanamaya, or Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. So we should come from the Annamaya stage to that Anandamaya stage. So what is Annamaya Kosha stage means? Annamaya means, as the name suggests, Anna. They sustain, they live on food. Food means what? They think they are this body. Okay, so there's many people, they think we are just this body, and they give importance to all bodily comforts. So they're living like such people are equal to animals. See, even the animals, they live just to eat, right? Just to maintain. What do they do? Eat, sleep, mate, and defend. So these are the 4 things that animals do. So if we are also doing the same thing, what is the difference? So many of the human beings are living like animals. So this is the Annamaya stage, right? They're just living like animals. Though they're maybe human beings, but they're living like animals with these 4 things in mind. Okay, and next, above this, better than Annamaya Kosha is the Pranamaya, where here the people, they think that worshipping breathing as life. Prana is life, they think. Prana means that life air. See, they think I am this life force. Means for them, breathing is life. Control of prana, that is perfection. So, what is their goal here? Such people, they want long life, health, vital energy. That's why they do yoga, pranayama, but they have no devotion. We should not think. Life here means what? See, generally, many yogis and rishis we see right now also, when we go to Kumbh Mela, they do this pranayama. They control their breaths. See, our life is destined, determined by the number of breaths, right? Not one less or one more. When our number of breaths are over, we leave this body. So, to increase the number of breaths, they do this life pranayama, breathing. They take long breaths. See, if you breathe fast, your lifespan will reduce, right? So, that's why they say don't get angry, because when you get angry, you breathe fast. It reduces the lifespan. So, that's why we should maintain that normal breath. And that's why these yogis, they do pranayama and they control, they stop their breathing for 2 or 3 minutes. So that's why we see many yogis and rishis, they live for 150, 200, 250 years because of this pranayama. They think that the life air, they give so much importance to breathing, okay, for long health or whatever reason, but it is not anything on the spiritual platform. This is also life air. Breath means what? It is on the material platform. So even being on this stage is like being in ignorance, because prana is also a material energy of Krishna. But we have to understand that this is at least higher than Annamaya. They are not living like animals, right? Higher stage. So next is Manomaya or Gnanamaya stage. Here, these people, their focus, like earlier, their focus was, first focus was on, Annamaya focus was on food, body. Pranamaya means what? Life air. Their focus was on life air. So Gnanamaya or Manamaya, their focus is on mind. Okay, they focus on positive thinking, emotional control, psychology, mental peace. So they do meditation to quiet the mind. So they believe if my mind is controlled, I am liberated. So they believe mind is everything. So when the mind is disturbed, they suffer. When it is calm, they feel happy. Right? So everything is centered on the mind. But we have to understand that this stage also, mind is part of subtle material body. See, we know, right? Our body is made up of subtle and gross. So, subtle elements is what? Earth, water, air, fire, ether. And what is the subtle body made of? It is made up of mind, intelligence, false ego. So, mind is also material, but it is subtle. So that, but still, mind is part of subtle material body. We are still not on the spiritual platform. We are still, because mind is subtle material body. See, for example, a person may say, I don't care about God. I just want peace of mind. So many of us nowadays are like that. I don't want to go into all this bhakti devotion, but I want peace of mind. Okay, so these such people, they think if I'm calm, my life is successful. If I'm calm, peaceful, then I'm successful. So this is Manomaya consciousness. So above this is Gnanamaya, Vijnanamaya, means intelligence. Here, we means we understand. This is called Vijnanamaya, means realized knowledge. I am not this body. We understand now, we realize that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the life air, I am a soul. So they understand I'm the soul. So he can understand that the difference between matter and spirit. So such a person, he's free from gross illusion and material identification. So he can understand the difference between soul and body. But still, he just has that knowledge in Vijnanamaya, right? But he still doesn't have that devotion. So only if you have knowledge without devotion, that knowledge will end into impersonal Brahman realization like the Jnanis. The Jnanis, what they understand that they are the soul, but they, because they don't do devotional service, they have no devotion. They think they analyze God as impersonal Brahman. That God is not person, he is impersonal. Okay, that's why this is also not good, right? So, what is true perfection? The true perfection comes when Vijnanamaya leads to loving service of Krishna, where they think Krishna is a person and they do loving devotional service. So, that is the Anandamaya stage, right? So, Anandamaya stage means living in spiritual bliss. So, this is the spiritual platform. So, till the four below stages that we saw are still on the material platform. Okay, so when the fifth stage, the Anandamaya, we come to the spiritual platform. So where we are living in spiritual bliss. So true happiness by serving Krishna, that is the supreme bliss, right? So we understand that the first four are connected to the material world, and the highest stage is Anandamaya, where the soul finds real joy in devotional service to Krishna. So real life begins when we move from that bodily thinking to loving service of the Lord. So this we have to understand. Okay. So this is nothing but they're just giving further detail about the stage about, about Krishna, the superiority of Krishna, right? So this you can we can read. Okay. They're showing the superior position of Krishna. See, despite your transcendental position, my Lord, in order to show your six opulences and advertise your transcendental qualities, you have appeared in your different incarnations fish, tortoise, boar, Nrsimha, Keshava, and others by your personal manifestation. And you have appeared as different living entities by your separated manifestations. By your internal potency, you appear as the different incarnations of Vishnu and your external potency, and you appear as a phenomenal world. So it's just talking about Krishna. So 13.6 7 shloka is not there. I think I'll. Hare Krishna Mataji, can you please read the shloka Mataji? 6, 7.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Krishna, Sloga 6.7. Sorry, 12.6 Sloka. Hare Krishna. Mahaputani ahangaro buddhir avyaktam
Avyaktam Mataji, Avyaktam.
evacha. Indriyani दशैकं च पंचेन्द्रिय गोचराः
Pancha Chendriya
गोचराः पंचचेन्द्रिय गोचराः 12.7 इच्छा द्वेषः सुखं दुःखं संघाताश्चेतना धृतिः एतत् क्षेत्रं समासेन स विकारमुदाहृतम्. हरे कृष्ण.
Yeah, Udahritam. Yeah, Hari Bol. Please. Yeah, please read the translation, Mataji. Sorry?
I'll read, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, the convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, actually this verse explains about kshetra, right? The field of activity. Kshetra means body. What activities the body does and with what? Okay, so the material body and mind it is talking about here, Kshetra. So, what does it include the body? It includes five gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle body, false ego, intelligence, mind, the 10 senses, right? We have 10 senses, right? The eyes, ear, everything. So we'll see here. Okay, 10 senses and sense objects means taste, all that. Taste, hearing, sight, all that. Sense objects. Along with these come desire. See, when we take a body, we have, right? Desires, hatred, happiness, distress. So, consciousness, right? The soul also comes in the body, right? And conviction. So, all material interactions, right? All together, these 24 elements make up the body and subtle body, which constantly change and are temporary. So, everything in this material world, including the body, they are prone to change and they are temporary. But the knower of the field, Kshetragna, the soul, is different from the body and he is not destroyed. He is eternal. Okay, that we have to know. The same thing is explained here. Okay, right? So indicates that the same thing is discussed, Mataji. Okay, let's proceed to the next thing. Okay, so next 8 to 12. Would you like to read the shloka, Mataji, and translation also?
Yes, Mataji. It will give
Or else, yeah, you can just read the shloka, Mataji. Translation is very big. We can, the same thing will be explained below. Okay, here it will be explained. So you can just read the shloka.
Hare Krishna, Shloka 18.8 to 12. Amanitvam, Amanitvam, Adambhitvam, Himsa, Ahimsa,
Ahimsa.
Ahimsa,
Ahimsa.
Ahimsa, Ahimsa, Shanti, Arjava.
Krishna, sorry. I'll do one thing, Mataji. Can I read the shloka and so that when the recording is there, can you
Sure,
please
Mataji.
use?
It's long, it will take a lot of time.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because again the other devotees for the other class will come now. That's why I was wondering. So it will be like a helpful for you, right? If I read
Yeah,
it.
Mataji, sure. I'll read the translation, Mataji. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Thank you, Mataji. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantir, arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atma, vinigraha, indriyarteshu, vairagyam, अनहंकार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिर् अनभविष्वङ्गः अनभविष्वङ्गः पुत्र दार गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्य योगेन भक्तिर् अव्यभिचारिणी विविक्त देश सेवित्वम् आरतिर् जन संसदि आध्यात्म ज्ञान नित्यत्वं तत्व ज्ञानार्थ दर्शनम् एतज् ज्ञानम् इति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानम् यद् अतो अन्यथा. Hare Krishna. So here they are talking about the qualities of a devotee. So humility. So humility means what? Not to be sorry. Okay. Not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored. So a devotee, he never tries to he never craves for being honored. He does not want to be honored. Right? Pridelessness. understanding you're the body, and thus honor and dishonor are the same. So you understand that you're the body, and sorry, you're not the body, you're the soul. Even if praise comes or someone hates you, for them they treat everything on the same platform. So non-violence, ahimsa. So what is non-violence? Generally, we think that is also non-violence, but non-violence means we think meat eating, that is non-violence. That is also, but here they're talking about non-violence means we should educate people to that spiritual knowledge, because most of the people in the material world, they only are concerned about the body and the bodily comforts. They're not bothered about the soul. So, the what is actual non-violence means people who are giving, the devotees who are giving that spiritual knowledge, right? That you are not the body, you're the soul, right? So that is true non-violence. Tolerance, but we practice to bear insult and dishonor. So you have to tolerate. So generally in the material world, we get angry and we try to retaliate, we speak back. But we should try to practice, we should try to bear insult and dishonor from others. Simplicity. So we should be so simple and straightforward that we should even be able to reveal a secret to an enemy. Okay, accepting a spiritual master. So this is very important. Many people think, oh, it is between me and Krishna. Why do I need somebody? I directly talk to Krishna. That's what they say, many people. But a spiritual master is like a via medium. He gives us a knowledge what Krishna is, what is super soul, what is soul, what is our connection with the uh, between soul and super soul. Why are we suffering in this material world? So because the spiritual master gives all this knowledge, that's why he's like a via medium between Krishna and us. So this is very important. We need to accept a spiritual master. Cleanliness. Okay, cleanliness means bathing. External cleanliness is by bathing, internally by chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Steadiness, right? We should always, like, if we have faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we will be determined to make progress in spiritual life. But if we don't have faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is one of the demigods, he is a normal person, then we don't take spiritual life seriously, right? To be steady, we have to have that faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we will have a steady devotional service. Steadily we can practice Bhakti Yoga. Next, self-control. Reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement and control the senses. Okay, that is self-control. What is required, we that we accept. What is unfavorable to bhakti, we reject that. Renunciation of sense objects, not to cater to unnecessary demands. See, renunciation of sense objects means we should not use our senses for these material desires. So only we should engage our senses in devotional service. So the eyes should be made to see the beautiful form of Krishna. The tongue should be used to taste prasadam and talking about Krishna. So like that. So we should divert this intention of the senses from material desires to spiritual things. Absence of false ego. So what does the soul generally we are under the false ego that I am this body or mind, and then we think that everything in this material world is for my enjoyment. But what is the real ego that we should have? That we are Krishna's servant. Jivara Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. And perceptions of evil, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, right? So actually all of us are facing perceptions of evil means we all have um, the four problems everybody has. What are those? Birth, death, old age, disease. Everybody, be it rich or poor, everybody has these four problems. So that's why to come out of this material world, we have to regularly hear from the proper source, become disgusted with material life. So when we get that proper knowledge from our gurus or spiritual masters, we understand, oh, I'm not this body. Because I've taken, the soul has taken this body, That's why we are undergoing this birth, death, old age, and disease. Okay, when we get that knowledge, we get detached to material life. We get disgusted. We are no more interested in material life. We get attached to devotional service. So detachment. We should be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. So we should do everything to get attached to Krishna and detached to Maya. So no entanglement with wife, children, family. So this does not mean that you leave your wife, family, husband, children, everybody. No. What it means is you engage all your family members along with you and in the service of Krishna. So you should practice it if you can do it in a Krishna conscious way. But renounce if unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. So you should engage all your family members together in the service of Krishna consciousness and aspiring to live in a solitary place. So this does not mean that they're asking people to go to the forest. No, it means that we don't mix with the non-devotees or materialistic people, right? We should live in the association of devotees and detachment from the general mass of people means the same thing. So we should not try to associate with non-devotees, atheists, all right, and materialistic non-devotees like that. Okay, accepting the importance of self-realization, right? So we should understand the that we are soul and give up unnecessary sporting. Also, that's why we should not waste in all these bodily activities. We see a lot of we waste a lot of time seeing the TVs, movies, parties. We do a lot of social activities. We waste time in all these, right? Unnecessary sports. We watch sports, politics, cinemas. We go to pubs, restaurants. So we should stop wasting all of our time in that. The philosophical search. So, rejection of useful research and philosophical topics. So, we should not see in the internet and YouTube, Instagram, many people post about these philosophical, spiritual topics. But we should not go and hear to each and everything. Only where there is that bona fide parampara, right, who are giving us that knowledge but which comes from their guru which is passed on through a parampara. So such kind of knowledge should be heard to or read to, and remaining all we should not even look at, we should not even try to reject of useless research and philosophical topics. We should leave them, just be away from them. Okay, so process of knowledge, we'll see 13 or 13 to 19. So, Shloka 13, I'll try to read. Gneyam yattat pravakshyami yaj gnatvam ashnute anadi mat param brahma na sattan nasad uchyate. Hare Krishna Mataji. Can you please read the translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna translation. I shall now explain the knowledgeable, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in Shloka 30, now Krishna explains the noble truth. Okay, what is the noble means what? Who knows the body? It's the soul. The soul is beginningless, it is eternal, never born, and never dying. So it is Brahman in quality, right? Above the soul is what? Super soul. So he's the first knower is super soul and second knower is soul. So we have the super soul. So above the soul is the super soul, the supreme lord, who knows all bodies and controls material nature. The soul is always subordinate and a servant of the Supreme Lord, but he is never equal to him. So, knowing both the soul and the Supreme Lord brings real spiritual happiness. Okay, the same is being said here. Soul and super soul are real objects to be known. Bhagavad Gita 13.13, especially in this shloka 13, they're saying it describes about the soul and not super soul, but they're just telling who are existing in the body, but they're talking about soul here. So who are the Neya, noble? Knowable means, Neya means the object of knowledge. So final object of knowledge is knowing the super soul, right? Actually, the knower, the Kshetragna. Kshetragna means the knowers. There are two knowers, that is the soul and super soul. But the object of knowledge is we want to know about the super soul. So, what are the benefits of knowing the noble? Benefit of knowing the noble is one can relish the nectar of life. So, if you know about the super soul, we can be in spiritual bliss. Hare Krishna. 14th shloka and translation. You can read, Mataji. If it's small, you can please read, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Shloka 13.14. Sarvadaha
Pani, Mataji. Pani.
Panipadam tat sarvado achi shiro mukham. Sarvadaha Shruti mat loge sarvamavritya tishtadi. Hare Krishna. Translation 13.14. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, see, his hands, they're showing the PPT, okay? His hands, legs, everywhere, they are there. So here in 14, so earlier 13, we talked about soul. And now in Shloka 14, they're clearly talking about super soul. So this verse describes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma and not the individual soul. Okay. So the Lord, the super soul, the Lord is all pervading. Okay. He has eyes, ears, hands, and legs everywhere. But the Jiva is always limited to his body, to one body, okay, to his own body. So the living entity can never become all pervading, right? So this, if you think that we are all pervading, that is our ignorance. So although Krishna, he eternally resides in Goloka, he is simultaneously present everywhere as super soul, right? Through his energies, he is present in the material world. By his inconceivable potency, he can see, hear, and accept offerings from anywhere. So, this proves his supreme personal nature and that he's not impersonal, right? So, the Jiva is Brahman in quality, but never equal in quantity to the Lord. So, we should understand we are also part and parcel of Krishna. Jiva is part and parcel of Krishna. So, we are same in quality as Krishna, but quantity wise, we are different. See, Krishna is Satchidananda, we are also Satchidananda, but quantity varies. Krishna is 100% Satchidananda, we are like maybe 1% or that much. We are small in quantity. In quantity, we are small. We are Vibhu. We are Anu. Krishna is Vibhu. He is 100% in all the qualities. So quality wise we are same, but quantity wise we are different. Okay, so liberation does not mean becoming God, becoming one with God. So it means reviving our constitutional position as eternal servant. So what is the real perfection? Real perfection is devotional service to Krishna, by which we can transcend the material modes while remaining subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Okay, So that's what they're saying. So super soul is all pervading, and Srila Prabhupada strongly confirms that this verse describes the super soul and not the living entity. Okay. Right. Yeah. Mataji, can you please read Shloka 15 and translation also, please?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Mataji, please make it fast, Mataji, if you don't mind.
Hare Krishna, Shloka 13.15. Sarvendriya Gunabhashyam
Basam
Sarvendriya Vivarjidam Asaktam Sarvapritchaiva Nirgunam Guna Poktricha.
Haribol. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. So, translation: the super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, I mean, sorry, Mataji, please don't mind. The only thing is, like, again, the devotees of the next class will come. So that's why I was asking.
No, because my some words I cannot read. Read means it takes time to read. That's all.
No. Yeah, I was wondering what happened. Mataji went on mute or what. I didn't understand, Mataji. That's why I was wondering.
No, Hare Krishna, not at all.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So here, in this Shloka 15, the super soul is the source of all senses. He's Rishikesha, but yet he has no material sense like ours. Right? Generally, people say that God has no eyes, no legs, nothing. It means to say that he has no material eyes, legs like us. Right? But he's the source of all senses. He's Rishikesha. So, but we have to understand that he has no material senses like ours. He has spiritual eyes, hands, and legs. So he can see, he can accept and act everywhere. Right? Each of his senses can act differently. He can eat through his eyes. It's not like us. With our eyes, we can just see, that's all. But Krishna, through his eyes, he can eat. That's how he accepts our bhoga, right? He can do, each of his senses can do what the other senses can't do, right? He can do anything. He can hear, I mean, with the ears, he can eat, right? With the mouth, he can see. So anything is possible. So his senses are spiritual. Though he maintains everyone, he is completely unattached and transcendental. See, though he he maintains everybody in this material world, he's completely unattached. He's transcendental, right? That's why he's unattached. He's above the modes of nature, but yet he's the controller of all the modes of nature. And because our senses are material, that's why we can't see the transcendental form of Krishna. So only who can see him? Only devotees can know him by devotion. Okay. So 16 shloka is not given, I think. Right, 16 is not given. Yeah, Mataji, are you able to see the screen? 16?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, can you please read, Mataji?
Sloga 13.16. Behirandascha Putana Cha Pudanam Acharam Charam Evacha Sukshma Tad Sukshmatvad Avijnayam
Tad Avijnayam. I'll read it, Mataji. Sorry, I think you're not able to see properly. I will try to read, Mataji. Yeah. Bahir antascha bhutanam acharam charam evacha sukshmatvat tad avigneyam durastam chantike cha tat. Yeah. Can you please read the translation,
Yes,
Mataji?
Mataji, Hare Krishna translation. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because of he is uh, subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Mataji,
Yeah.
excuse me, Mataji, can you please recite the shlokas? I'll read the translation so that
Sure, sure, Mataji, sure.
I will study
Def-
from the recording.
Definitely. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Because
Yeah.
in fast.
So 16 shloka, they are saying that the supreme truth exists both internally and externally in the moving and non-moving. So internally, how is he existing as Paramatma? And externally, he is present through his energies, right? So he is present as super soul, both in moving and non-moving. So he is present in the stool, in the stone also he is present. Please don't think he's not present in the soul, stone. So he's present even in an atom. So the super soul is present in everything, the moving and non-moving, everything, even in the table, chair, everything is present. The only thing is the soul is not there in the chair. But super soul is present in all moving and non-moving everything. And he is beyond the power of material senses because he is transcendental. We can't see him with our material senses. Although far, far away, he is also near to us. How Krishna is always far, far away because he is always staying in Goloka Vrindavan. He is enjoying eternal pastimes with Krishna, his devotees there. He never comes out of Goloka Vrindavan. So that's why he's far, far away. But at the same time, he's also near to us. How? Because he's present as Paramatma in our heart. He's very near to us. Right? So that's what they're saying in the shloka. So Hare Krishna, 17th shloka. अविभक्तं च भूतेषु विभक्तम् इव च स्थितं भूत भर्तृच तज् ज्ञेयं ग्रसिष्णु प्रभविष्णु च. Mataji, please can you read the translation?
Mataji, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. 13.17 translation. Although the super soul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he endeavors and develops all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So we can see, right, here he's present as a super soul in so many living entities that we see in the PPT. Right? So so although the super soul Paramatma is present in the heart of every living being, he is never divided. He remains one and indivisible. Like how the sun stays in one place, but still it gives sunshine on everybody simultaneously. So Krishna, by his inconceivable potency, that one Vishnu is present everywhere. And the Supreme Lord is not only the maintainer of all living entities, and they're saying he is also the devourer at the time of annihilation. Right? So he destroys also. He creates, he maintains, and he destroys. So through him, everything is created, maintained, and finally it is withdrawn into himself. So at creation, all beings arise from him, and during existence, what happens? They are sustained by him. He maintains the living entities, and again at dissolution, they merge back into him. They enter into him, right? So Mahavishnu is the source of creation. Through Mahavishnu, all the innumerable universes come. So all the creation takes place, and as Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, maintains each of the universe, right? The same Mahavishnu, he expands his Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu and he maintains the each universe, right? And again at dissolution, what happens? All these universes, when partial dissolution happens, they enter into the body of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. But when the main pralaya happens, that which happens with main pralaya means that yuga ends. That pralaya, everybody enters into the body of Mahavishnu. Okay, so that we have to understand. So the Lord alone is the ultimate source, support, and the resting place of all existence. This is confirmed in the Vedic scriptures. So the same thing is being said here. Okay, Shloka 18 is also not given. I'll try to read. अविभक्तं च भूतेषु विभक्तम् इव च स्थितं भूतभर्तृर्च तज् ज्ञेयं ग्रसिष्णु. We finished 17, no, Mataji? Yeah, we finished this. Grasishnu, Prabhavishnu cha.
Yes,
We
yes.
have to do 18, we have to do, I think. Yeah.
18.
Yeah. Jyotisham api taj jyotis tamasah param uchyate gnanam gneyam gnanagamyam hridi sarvasya vishtitam. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
Translation, he 13.18, he is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, the super soul, Krishna, he's present. I mean, he's the source of all light. They're saying all luminous objects, the sun, moon, stars, and every luminous object shines how? By his effulgence, bodily effulgence. The light that comes, the effulgence that comes from the body of Krishna. So that light is being absorbed by the sun, moon, stars, and everybody. That's why they become luminous. So Krishna is the source for all that. So in the spiritual world, actually, if you see, there is no need of sun or moon, sun or electricity, because everything is illuminated by the Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence that is coming from the body of Krishna, right? So, and they're saying Krishna is beyond material darkness and he is completely transcendental, right? And then they're saying the Lord is knowledge itself. He's the giver of knowledge and the ultimate goal of knowledge. Okay, from within the heart, he guides the sincere soul. He's there as Paramatma, right? So within the heart, so he guides the sincere soul and gives transcendental understanding. And liberation is possible only by knowing him and surrendering to him. See, although he is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma, he remains different from the individual soul, right? See, the Paramatma is different, the Atma is different. So we should understand that. That's what they're trying to say. Though both are present side by side, that difference is there. He is the Paramatma is different, and the Atma is different, right? So the living entity is limited. They're telling the difference between soul and super soul. The living entity is limited, but the Lord is all pervading with hands, legs, and controls everything. So, therefore, we should understand that there are two knowers. One is the Jiva and the super soul. So, Krishna alone is the supreme controller, master, and shelter of all living beings. So, that is what being said here. Okay, so same thing is written here. So, 19, again, shloka is not there. इति क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानं Neyam choktam samasataha madbhakta etad vignaya mad bhavayopapadyate. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Mataji, thank you. Translation, Shloka 13.19. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the noble have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, Krishna has clearly explained three things. What is that? The field of activity, that is the body, the process of knowledge, and the knower. Who are the knowers? The soul and the super soul. So, this complete science is called Vijnana. But only pure devotees can truly understand this Vijnana, right? Others, especially impersonalists, cannot, because real knowledge means coming to Krishna consciousness, right? These impersonalists, they don't have, they just have knowledge. So with that knowledge, they have no devotion. So just having knowledge, they think God is impersonal, right? But um, uh, but real knowledge means what? It's coming from Krishna consciousness, means not merging and becoming one with God, right? What is knowledge? Knowledge means understanding that you are the body and the soul, but it is perfect only when it leads to devotional service, right? We understand that before liberation we were individual soul. After liberation also we are individual soul. We don't merge into the impersonal Brahman and become one with impersonal Brahman. Okay, so that we have to understand. So true knowledge means when you do devotional service, you are individual, right? Should lead to devotional service. So when consciousness is fully transferred to Krishna, one attains his divine nature. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is fully understood only by devotees, and only devotees can reach the supreme goal, Krishna himself. Okay. So the same thing is being said here. What is knowledge? Knowledge means knowing about Kshetra, Kshetragna, Gnana, Gneyam. Okay, same. Okay, 13.22. Krishna will explain about Prakriti, Purusha and their union. So 20 we'll see. I think the shloka is not there. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubhav Api Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation: material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. 20, it's not given. Okay, explanation is not given. Okay. So, material nature, Prakriti, and living entity, Jiva, are both, they're saying, beginningless and eternal energies of Krishna. Okay, so this Prakriti and soul, they are eternal, right? But the body is material nature. Okay, so the Jiva is the enjoyer and the super soul is the supreme knower. See, all changes, varieties, and differences come only from material nature. That we have to understand, because we have taken this body, different body wants different varieties. So, all changes, varieties, and differences come only from material nature, and it's three modes, but not from the soul. So, spiritually, we are all living beings, and their swabhava is the same. Spiritually, all living beings are the same. They don't change depending by taking the body, like it undergoes different changes, right? But the soul is eternal and it is the same throughout. The Jiva is Krishna's superior energy. But because we had a desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, that's why we become conditioned by material nature. That's why we come here. That's why the Jiva, he accepts a material body and he becomes conditioned by Maya. Okay, so this material world is created to give the soul another chance to change. That's why if we practice Krishna consciousness, we get relieved from this material world and go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, so that's why we are given a chance. We are given a human body. Okay, we are given a human body so that we can go back to Krishna. So bondage and variety, we should understand, come from the body and not from the soul. And liberation comes by returning to service to Krishna. So long we turn our back against Krishna, we are under Maya. And if we are in Maya, we have to accept different bodies. But if we turn our face to Krishna, then we get relieved from this material world and we don't take any more material bodies. 21. कार्य कारण कर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिर उच्यते पुरुषः सुख दुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुः उच्यते. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you. Translation. Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here in Shloka 1, see, material nature, it creates all bodies and situations, but the living soul is responsible for his happiness and suffering. Okay, so we have to understand the Prakriti, it gives bodies, it creates bodies and different situations, but it is up to the living soul who is responsible for his happiness and suffering. See, because of desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, that is why the soul enters into this material life and he gets different bodies like dog, hog, human, or demigod according to his past desires and actions. And once he's inside the body, the soul is forced to act according to that body by laws of nature. Right? So the soul, he has no freedom. It has to act per the body. See, once he is inside that body, the soul is forced to act because that body, it is governed by the three modes of nature. Okay, yes, the soul has no freedom there. Okay, so happiness and distress belong to the body, not the soul's real spiritual nature. So in everybody, Paramatma stays with the soul, guiding and witnessing, waiting for the soul to turn back to Krishna. So, for example, if you are the soul takes the body of the pig, he's forced to behave like a pig, eat stool. The soul can't say, no, 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 I don't want to eat stool. No, 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 I don't want to do this or do that. He has no independence because material nature, when he is, that body of pig is governed by Prakriti. It is destined. I mean, it is already set forth that, yeah, you have to eat this, you have to behave like this. When he gets that body, the soul gets that body, it is already written that per the modes, he has to behave like this. Right? So that's why the soul and the body are totally different. Right? So that we have to understand. So 22. Purushaha prakritisto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasango asya sad asad yoni janmasu. And we can memorize this shloka, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, and can you please read the translation, Mataji?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So the soul, it keeps changing bodies because he associates with the three modes of material nature. He thinks that I am the enjoyer. Okay, so he desires sense pleasure, and that's why he takes birth as demigod or human, animal, bird, or insect. Although he thinks he's the master, actually he's not the master. Material nature controls him completely. That is what we don't understand. We think that we are doing everything here. But when we take a body, we are like automatically under the control of Prakriti, on the three modes of nature. They use us as puppets. That particular body is like governed through the three modes. We act like puppets. So nothing is in our hands, but we think that everything is in our hands. So that main thing we have to understand. So by hearing Bhagavad Gita and practicing Krishna consciousness, that's when he rises above those three modes. He comes to the spiritual platform. Then what happens when he comes to the spiritual platform? Transmigration stops and the soul begins to taste his real eternal happiness with Krishna. Okay, so this is the thing. See, as long as in the material world, he will get a body of, suppose if he gets the body of a horse, the soul takes the body of a horse, he's forced to behave like a horse, because everything in material nature is predestined. It is governed by the three modes. So the three modes will say the horse has to eat grass, it has to run like this, it has to do this. So nothing is in the control of the soul. It has to act default per the body of that horse, right? And that is governed by the three modes. So we are like totally independent. The soul is like has no control, no control over the body. It can't say that now I don't want to eat grass, nothing like that. Okay, that we have to understand. So 13.23 Upadishtanumanta Manta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapi ukto dehesmin purushah paraha. So Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you 1 second? Can you please read the translation, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you, Mataji. I'll read. Hare Krishna. Yet in translation, yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor who exists as the overseer and permitter and who is known as the super soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So that's a continuation. In the same body, there are two persons. Who are they? Who are the knowers? The Jiva and the Paramatma. So the Jiva wants to enjoy, and that's why he suffers according to karma. But Paramatma, he is not affected. Paramatma, what he does sitting in the body, he only watches, he permits, he guides. See, Paramatma, he's seeing what the soul is doing. Okay, and he guides. That's why now, from because of Paramatma itself, we are able to remember, forget, right? From him alone comes our forgetfulness, remembrance, everything. And he's like a witness. Whatever activities that we are doing, Paramatma is witnessing whatever activities we are doing, right? So, and he guides us depending on that. So he is the real owner, controller, and well-wisher present in everyone's heart. So first real owner is super soul. The secondary owner is soul. Okay. So the soul suffers because he misuses his small independence. Actually, as Paramatma, yeah, Krishna guides the soul. Even the soul, for example, he tells Paramatma tells, "Don't steal," but still we don't listen to the to Paramatma. That's the when we act independently per our own will. That's why that's when we get karma, good or bad karma. So because of which we are roaming in this material world. Okay, because of that small independence, Krishna, he gives us that independence. right? Krishna is fully independent, but we also have that small independence that Krishna gives us. Because of that independence, we can take a decision. But Paramatma, he guides us, saying that this is wrong. Because sometimes when we do something wrong, we get a voice. No, no, don't do this. That is Paramatma telling us not to do. But still, because at that moment we get carried off and we try to do it. Right? So the soul, he suffers because he misuses his small independence and he tries to enjoy separately from Krishna. He doesn't listen to Krishna and he wants to enjoy separately from Krishna. That's why he takes different bodies, right? Karma takes place, good or bad karma. That's why he takes different bodies and he has to come back and enjoy or suffer for that body. Okay. So 13.24. So we'll try to stop here, Mataji. Actually, there's 10 more shlokas.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, we'll stop here. Or we'll just try to continue, Mataji. Is it okay with you, Mataji?
Okay, but that the other batch will join at 10:55, Mataji.
No, I thought we'll continue for one or two shlokas at least.
Please. Till 10:52, 53 we can do and then finish it, Mataji.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So we'll just try to take 24, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयो अभिजायते. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So we'll see 24. Yeah. So, when we clearly understand material nature, the living entity, the soul, the super soul, and the three modes, real knowledge awakens. So, we realize that we are not the body, but an eternal servant of Krishna. Okay, so by hearing Bhagavad Gita from proper authority and practicing Krishna consciousness, this illusion ends. So, such a person, he becomes liberated and never takes birth again, but returns to the spiritual world for eternal blissful life. So, that is what is being said here. Okay, so 25. ध्यान ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिद् आत्मानम् आत्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fugitive desires. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, 25, right? So
Right.
same thing is explained. People try to realize the super soul in different ways. See here, first, some people see him within the heart by meditation, like the Ashtanga yogis, right? We've seen how they try to realize the super soul in different through Ashtanga yoga. They meditate on the super soul in the heart. So they, by meditation, they try to see. But some understand him by knowledge and study using intelligence. We know the Gnanis, right? They try to understand Krishna by how impersonal Brahman, right? And so by knowledge. So they have knowledge but no devotion. That's why they try to merge into the impersonal Brahman. And others approach him by working without selfish results. That is karma yoga. Okay, Krishna says, right, you do your full duty but without attachment to results. So they offer their work to God. But besides these three, Gnana Yoga and Gnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, and Ashtanga Yogi, but the best position they are telling in this, Krishna is telling, is devotional service, because devotees clearly understand that above material nature is Krishna, who is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart. So, whether through meditation or through knowledge or selfless work, when it leads to Krishna consciousness, then it becomes perfect. See, actually, these Ashtanga yogis or Gnana yogis or Karma yogis, finally, they should come to Bhakti Yoga. Okay, then their life becomes perfect. But this purification may take some janmas finally, but they have to come to this Bhakti Yoga. Okay, that we have to understand. Next shloka 26 is not given. Anye tu evam ajanantah shrutvanebhya upasate tepi chatittaranti eva mrityum shruti parayanaha. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna, thank you. The translation, again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So let's see 26 if it's given. No, nothing is given. Okay, so 26. So here, some people, they don't know philosophy. See in this picture, see, many of us don't know philosophy or scriptures, but they hear about Krishna from devotees and authorities. So because they listen with faith, they also become purified. So in this age, hearing is the easiest and the strongest process. So by hearing Hare Krishna and hearing from pure devotees, one gradually understands the truth, and that's why they cross birth and death. See, we don't need to be scholars. Just hear sincerely, serve devotees, and follow. Okay, so this alone can take us back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So 27. We'll try to 27. यावत् संजायते किंचित सत्वं स्थावर जंगमं क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ संयोगात् तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभा. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you, Hare Krishna. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, 27, the same thing that they're telling. Oh, Arjuna, Krishna is telling, everything you see in this world, moving or non-moving, is a combination of material nature, the body, senses, and elements. Body, material nature means it's made of body, senses, elements, and the living soul. So, in this material nature, it's a combination of dull matter and the soul. See, if there is just dull matter and the soul is not there, this material is of no use. See, if you have rivers, mountains, everything, nature is there, but there's nobody to enjoy the nature, like the soul. What is the use of that dull matter? So there is no use. So it should be when it is in the combination of the living entity, then there is some purpose. See, it's like this. The computer is like dull matter. What is the use of the computer if the person who, if there's nobody to operate? So we need a jiva or a living entity to operate it. Otherwise, the computer is not is of no use. So what they're trying to say, Krishna is trying to say is, it should be in combination with both dull matter and jiva. Both should be present. Okay, so material nature and the living soul together is that is the correct way. If even one is present, other is not present, it is of no use. So nothing can exist or grow without the living soul being present. So this eternal relationship between the soul and the material nature is always maintained by Krishna. And Krishna, he takes control of both of them, Prakriti and the soul. Right? He sees that it exists, both are there, and Krishna controls everything. So he places the soul in matter, and from this combination, all life and activities happen. So, this we have to understand. So, the whole world is a cooperation of the living being and the material energy under the guidance of Supreme Lord. That we have to understand. So 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyat vinashyat swa avinashyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Can you please read the translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Translation. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul is ever destroyed actually sees. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, here in Shloka 28, so anyone who understands these three things together, right? The body, the soul, and the super soul is actually in knowledge. So, most people only see the body and they think that when the body dies, everything ends. But this is ignorance, right? Besides the body, there is the soul and the super soul who are never destroyed. They continue eternally. So those who understand this see reality. So this is the reality that we understand, right? When the body is finished, not everything is finished. There is the soul and the super soul who are eternal, and it continues. Okay, the soul and super soul never destroyed, they continue eternally. So those who understand this see reality. That's what they're saying. The soul moves from body to body, and Krishna is always present with it as the super soul. So true knowledge comes from association with realized devotees who can explain this. Right? Otherwise, no, nobody can understand. Most of the material people, they think they are this body, right? So true knowledge comes when we in the association of devotees who can explain this. Okay, we'll stop here, Mataji. 29, we'll try to continue from tomorrow.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Oh, nobody is still okay, fine, no problem.
They have not joined, Mataji.
Huh?
No, they have not joined. I think there is no class.
Yeah, I think it's weekend, not there. But are you okay, Mataji? Can you take this thing or?
Yes, sir, there, Mataji. Not much time. Now, half an hour also.
Sorry, Mataji.
Half an hour also I can spare, Mataji. Half an hour.
Hari bol. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much. I thought that only hardly 3-4 shlokas are there. That's what I was wondering.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. We will continue. I don't have any issue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So 29 we'll see, Mataji. 29 I'll read the shloka. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavastitam ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Hare Krishna. Can you please read the translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Translation. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So 29. Yeah. So when a person sees that the super soul Krishna is equally present in everyone, he doesn't let his mind wander into selfish or destructive thinking. He does not his mind does not ponder on material desires. See, normally our mind is caught up in all these material sense pleasures, but when it focuses on the super soul, everywhere, the super soul is present everywhere, right? One advances spiritually. So, this vision helps the living being move towards the transcendental world and not to degrade himself by material desires. So, when he understands that his soul and his swarupa is to serve the super soul, he diverts his mind from material desires because he understands he's not his body and the soul is separate from the body. So that's why his vision changes. So he is no longer tries to enjoy material things. He understands that he is a jiva and his duty is to serve the Lord. Okay, because of that vision everything changes. Okay, so he does not, no more he gets degraded by material desires. Okay, so 30. प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तारं स पश्यति. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does everything, actually sees.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Oh, I think nothing is given. Okay, fine. So, okay, so the body does everything. So we have come to an understanding it is the body that does everything and it is not the soul. So whatever we do, like we work, eat, feel happy or sad, is because of the body. Okay, and it's nature to make it happen because we are in material world, prakriti. So and because it makes it happen like that, right? Because of the body and its nature to make it happen. But the soul is separate, it is untouched, it is just observing. So when someone clearly understands this, they stop identifying with the body and understand themselves as the eternal soul. So that is what it means that we actually see. So when we come to this material world, the soul comes to the material world with a particular body, the soul has no control. It has to act per how the body wants to act per the three modes of material nature. It has no control, right? It acts on its own. I mean, like there's no control. The soul can't say that do this, do that. No, don't do this. No, nothing. When it has got, the soul has taken that body. The body lives according to the three modes of nature. It is already destined for it. Okay, and the soul has no control over it. So that we have to understand that we are the soul and we are separate from the body. Right? We are not the body. That clear understanding should be there. So 31. Oh, 30, 31 is given here. यदा भूत पृथक् भावम् एकस्तम् अनुपश्यति तत एव च विस्तारम् ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna. Translation. When a sensible mind ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here the whole description is given here. Okay, so we'll just try to discuss 31. Already we've discussed 30. So a wise person, he stops seeing differences based on bodies, whether he's man, animal, demigod, high or low. So he understands that all bodies come from material desire, not from the soul itself. The soul is one in quality everywhere. Only the outside coverings, it takes different bodies. It takes different dresses, right? Different bodies. When one sees that all living beings are spirit souls, but expanded everywhere with different bodies, right? Temporarily, they are placed in different bodies by material nature. He attains Brahman vision. Okay, so this purified vision removes material discrimination and prepares one for Krishna consciousness, where the soul acts in what? Krishna consciousness. Because that is the swarupa of the soul, right? Jivera swarupa hoy Krishnera Nityadas. So it's an eternal servant of Krishna and its duty is to serve Krishna, right? 32. अनादित्वान् निर्गुणत्वात् परमात्मायम् अव्ययः शरीरस्थो अपि कौन्तेय न करोति न लिप्यते. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji.
Are you able to see, Mataji?
Yes,
Yeah,
Mataji.
yeah, please.
Krishna, thank you. Translation: those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So nothing is given, I think, description. Okay. So one who has real spiritual vision understands that the soul is eternal, it is indestructible, and beyond the three modes of nature. The soul is never born, never dies. Only the material body takes birth and it perishes. Although the soul resides in the body, it does not actually act. It is indifferent to what the body is doing. So all the activities are performed by the modes of material nature which are acting on the body. Okay, so therefore the soul is never truly entangled by material actions. So when we know this, we become detached from bodily identification and we try to move spiritually. And that's when we start doing practicing Krishna consciousness and we start doing devotional service. 33. Anaditvan nirgunatvat paramatmayam अव्ययः शरीरस्थोऽपि कौन्तेय न करोति न लिप्यते. Oh, that's what we read now, just now, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Oh, okay, 33.
Next, 33, Mataji, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Hare Krishna. Yata sarvagatam saukshmyad आकाशं नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मानोपलिप्यते. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Sri Krishna translation. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I hope explanation is there. No. So, just like the sky or space is everywhere, but it doesn't mix with anything. The soul also, it is present in the body, but it remains separate from the body. Okay, the soul uses the body, but it is not changed or affected by the body, right? So, after the body dies, that's why the soul remains untouched and moves on to another body. Okay, so that we have to understand. So 34. Yata prakashayati ekaha kritsnam lokam imam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Translation. Hare Krishna. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all the universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body by consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, I think there's, okay, 34. Right. Okay. So just like the sun in one place, it lights up the whole world, the soul in the heart of the body, it illuminates the entire body with consciousness. See, what is the symptom that the soul is present in the body? Consciousness. So, consciousness proves that the soul is present. See, when the soul leaves the body, consciousness disappears. Even if we pull the hair of the body or even if we kick the body, it does not affect because the soul is no longer there. So, the consciousness itself is not there. Okay, so this itself shows that the soul and the body is different. Okay, it is showing it is not from the body. Okay, the individual soul's consciousness is limited to its own body. We should understand this, right? But the super soul Krishna, he is there present in all the souls and all the bodies all at once. Okay, so we know the pains and pleasures of our body, but Krishna as super soul, he knows the pains and pleasures of all the bodies, all the living entities. Okay, 35. Kshetra kshetra gnayor evam antaram gnana chakshusha bhuta prakriti moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param. Hare Krishna. Mataji, can you please read the translation?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Slow translation. One who knowingly sees this difference between the body and the owner of the body and can understand the process of liberation from this bondage also attains to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So here they're saying, finally, those who understand the difference between the body and soul inside it, inside the body, and who also know about the super soul and the process of liberation from material bondage, they reach the supreme goal. So what are they saying? If you know who are you, like if you know about the body, the soul, the super soul, right? If you have that knowledge, you know that you will not be entangled in this material world, right? Then you understand that your spirit soul and your duty is to connect with the super soul. You are meant to, you were created by Krishna to serve him, right? So then our our goal changes, right? Our goal becomes we have to go back to Krishna to serve him in Goloka Vrindavan. So then what a devotee does is starts hearing from a spiritual master or a realized person. So gradually he understands that this body is just matter, it is just made of 24 elements, while the soul is separate, it is eternal, right? And above the soul is super soul, that is Krishna, who supervises everything. So seeing, if we see analyze everything this way, body, soul, super soul, we prepare our life back to the spiritual world. So this knowledge is very important for us, that we are not this body, we are the soul, and beyond, above the soul is the super soul. So we, if we understand these concepts, with this understanding, we it's like almost we are liberated, because when we understand this, we start practicing Krishna consciousness, we start doing devotional service, right? By doing devotional service, we go back to Krishna, right? So this covers